Well, welcome everybody. Hello, hello.
You're doing.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am so excited because I have so much to basically show you guys. I have been thinking about doing this and I'm so happy that the opportunity basically showed itself and I'm able to actually be with you and spend some time and show you some techniques on the frame drums. And we had about 10 people sign up. I don't know how many people are going to join us, but as we're going, maybe other people will jump in. So since our time is limited and I'm going to go through so much, I would like to just briefly hear about your past experience or what type of drum you have. So that will give me a better idea of what to present and how to present basically. Well, thank you so much, guys. I'm so happy that we're all almost in the same level with no experience with the frame drums. I'm going to briefly tell you three different types of drums when it comes to frame drums. There are actually many different types of frame drums. When we go to the world of frame drumming, basically, there are different cultures have different frame drums. Each culture, if you go to from Brazil to South America to Africa to Middle East, even in the Asian countries, everybody has a frame drum. And it seems like that it is the easiest instrument that our ancestors were able to make because it doesn't really make that much effort to build the body of it. It's just basically if you can bend a piece of wood and make a frame, then you can just put a skin on it and make a frame drum. Whereas if you want to make, I don't know, a violin, it takes a lot of engineering and a lot of tools are needed, or different types of drums, the same scenario. So it seems like all cultures around the world have this frame drum in them. Some cultures have it bigger, some cultures have it smaller, some people play with only one hand, some people play with both hands, some people put it on their lap and play, some people hold it with one hand and play with one hand. The style that I'm going to show you today is basically we utilize both hands. It's a style that is mostly used in Kurdish music, in Persian music, in Azeri music, which is north of Iran, in Azerbaijan, in some Arabic countries. But because I was born and raised in Iran, my background is in Persian music and I studied Kurdish music. I started to play the tombak, which is this instrument right here, when I was 7. I went all the way to university in Iran, Music University. When I was 16, I started playing the frame drum, which I show you in a minute. We call it daf, and daf is a very spiritual instrument. I'll tell you a little bit about the background of daf also. And then I went to Iran and studied tar, which is this instrument right there. And then I immigrated to United States. I studied music for a while. We actually, just like every Middle Eastern person, I wanted to become a doctor now that I had a second chance. So I went to biology. I studied biology for 3 years. I just liked it, but it was just too much work. And I started interviewing some doctors, and I found out that, no offense if any one of you is a doctor or anybody who will be watching this later is a doctor, I just realized that it just takes a real tough personality and it's a lot of work. And it seemed like most of them said that they don't have a life. So I switched back to music. I studied music, and then I ended up at UC Santa Cruz, where I studied classical composition on clarinet. That's a little bit about me. I've been teaching for about 25 years, and I am very passionate about this. This is like what makes people come together. If you look at history, there are two things in history that always get people together. Let me ask you guys, can you tell me what those two things are?
Music and food.
Absolutely, right to the point. So music and food is the two things that usually get people together. And it's the heart of each party. You have food and you have music. And if you go back to our basically ancestors, basically a couple hundred years back, music was what actually kept them alive. Music was therapy for them. It was food for soul. It was energy. It was everything, mostly like everything that they did had some element of music in it. A lot of healings had a lot of music in it. A lot of harvesting, for example, when they wanted to harvest their plants, had a lot of things. Anything that they did that needed a rhythm, they would start singing to it, or somebody would play a drum. Pulling the net out of the water was a rhythmic process. So music was basically all over the place for them. And it's just beautiful that our genes basically is ingrained with this, or has been marinating in this music culture throughout the history, especially in the healing side, because they didn't have any idea about anything else. They didn't have a lot of psychologists, or psychology hasn't been discovered, or any antidepressant weren't there. They had some psychedelic medicine, but that was about it. And I don't know, they sometimes use it for spiritual purposes. But if you go to different cultures in Egypt, in South Africa, in Middle East, there are many different ways of healing people through music. One particular that I can think of that kind of comes from my country is called Zaar music, Zaar, and you guys can search it up. And it's just the process that they put the sick person there, and every sickness there is a ghost that kind of possesses that person, no matter what the sickness is. And through the process of music, they try to heal that person, getting the bad energies out of that person and healing him or her. So I am so blessed that I have been given a chance by this universe to be an ambassador of spreading this beautiful culture of music and drumming and getting us together and basically hopefully bringing more joy to my students and enhancing their lives through music. And people who play music already know that knowing music would actually just add a beautiful dimension. You just open up a new window to a lot of new opportunities, a lot of new people that you will meet with the same sort of a mindset. And it's just a beautiful thing. So welcome again. Before I start, I would like to show you 3 different types of drums that I can categorize here. So you might have one of these basically. So you either have a frame drum like this with a bass sort of a tone, and this tone would be usually deeper, and these are usually used for, I don't know, chants, singing, sing-along basically, so good instruments for accompaniment. Tone, very good for a lot of different purposes. It could be a good accompaniment to sing, to voice, to instruments, and it could just like be a very nice instrument to solo on, or just like a good accompaniment. So this is one. The other one that is almost the same size, but these all could be different sizes, obviously, and you can see some of them on my wall, different sizes. This one is meant to be higher, and usually when you go to Azerbaijan, especially Azeri music, which is particularly using this sort of a sound, they put a thinner skin on them and they stretch the skin more, so the sound is much higher. Uplifting basically sounds, and I don't know, maybe some of you would have something like this. So the techniques are going to be the same for all of these drums that I'm showing you. And the third type of drum that I'll be using is called the daf, and daf is not the biggest of all drums that you can see in like Indian American or Native American music. You have drums that are much bigger than the daf, but from the drums that you hold with your hands and play, this is all, in my opinion, the biggest, or in my research, the biggest. But that's not the only thing that makes daf different from other frame drums. There is about, maybe I shouldn't tell you how many. There are a lot of rings inside the daf, but maybe you can guess how many. Does anybody have any opinion? Well, let me ask you this. Raise your hand if you think...
300.
300? Okay. Let me ask everybody. Raise your hand if you think it's between 0 and 100. Okay. 100, 200. Raise your hand if you think it's between 200 and 300. Again, raise your hand if you think it's 300, 400. And raise your hand if you think it's more than 400. All right. So actually... All right, Windy was correct. So there are about 350 to 400 rings in here. Each one of these lines basically had 4 rings in it. So there are basically 1, 2, and then there's a double at the end. So 10 of them would be 40, and we have about 300 to 400 350 to 400 rings inside the DAF. What do the rings do? The rings basically help the musician to enhance the sound by shaking the instrument up and down or lowering it and having the ring hit the skin. So if I go, for example, like that, the rings would hit the wood and create a beautiful sound. Or if I go like this, the rings would actually hit the body, or not the body, the skin of the drum, and it creates some sound similar to the snare drum. So by doing that, including the sound of the rings in the sound of the drum, then when you listen to it, it sounds like more than one person is playing. It seems like one person is playing the shakers and the rings and everything else, and then one person is playing the skin. So, but if you're not watching, but if you're watching, then you know that it's the same person that is doing it. So we can play the same rhythms that we played on the other drums. But then I can add the rings to it. Where's somebody's ring? So the sound of the DAF is much more basically loud and much more spiritual in a sense, because the sound of the rings creates this sort of a, I don't know, vastness in a space. And maybe through the speakers of your phone or computer, it might not be really obvious, but I do recommend if you have headphones handy, you can put on your headphones so you can hear the sounds a little bit better, because usually those little speakers do not produce a good bass sound. So the DAF was usually used in circles of meditation, especially in the Sufi tradition, to get people into a trance. Basically, that was the first role of it. But it seems like none of you actually have a DAF in this group, so maybe I should not talk too much about the DAF and go to the frame drums, which most of you have. All right, so as I said, I have little time and I'm gonna cover a lot for you today. I'm going to tell you everything about playing the instrument, holding the instrument. I won't have much time to go in depth in different rhythms, but I will tell you the basic stuff about holding and playing the instrument. So after this session, you'll be able to kind of improvise on your own if you would like, or if you have some already vocabularies in your head, you can get them into the drum. All right, so let me show you a little picture here. So the sound of the drum is produced from the skin, obviously. So the skin has 4 different parts. The first part of the drum is called the tack area, or in Farsi we say back. So when you see 2 words, the first word is the international language or international vocabulary for that name, and the second one is the Farsi name for it. So the tack or the back is basically right at the edge of the drum. So you get a high-pitched sound, and it's called the tack. The second area, we call it miyane, or in between. In between what? In between of a sharp sound and a low sound. So what is the low sound? The low sound is called the dum or the tom in Farsi. And tom is more closer to the center of the drum, obviously. Miyane, which was the second one, is between tack and dum. And it has a sound that is not too sharp and is not too bass, basically. And then the center of the drum, we usually call it the dead spot. Proportions could be different from what I have on this screen, depending on the size of the drum or the thickness of the skin. But usually the center of the drum has a dead sound. It doesn't vibrate much. So if I hit the doom area, for example, around here, you'll give me a high-pitched sound. If I hit the edge of the drum, it'll give me a, I'm sorry, the previous one was a low pitch. If I hit here, it would be a high pitch. If I hit in between, which is around here, it's not too bass, not too sharp. And if I go in the middle, it doesn't really get a lot of vibration. So the center of the drum, sometimes we use it for this technique that we call slap. We just hit it. So that slap basically is usually done in the middle of the drum. So get your drums and see if you can actually find these places. And no matter how you hit, just like hit them and see if you can get different sounds from the center, especially the center and the edge. Amit, do you have a question?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay, you unmuted yourself. I thought you have a question. All right, I'll show you the appropriate way of hitting it in a minute, but just be aware of this. Okay, awesome. That's enough about the skin of the drum. So the next thing that I would like to tell you guys is how to hold the instrument. So is there anybody who is left-handed in this group? Everybody's right-handed. So if you're right-handed, you're gonna use your left hand to hold the drum. If you're left-handed, obviously you're going to be using your right hand to hold the drum. So the way that you hold it is with the thumb and the index finger, and usually drums have a cutting like this. So that's where we're going to be holding the drum. So you basically do this, put that cut, and put your thumb right on top of it. Okay? So you end up with something like this. If your drum is bigger, you're going to use more fingers. So it's because DAF is my main instrument, I'm used to having these 3 fingers together because that's how many fingers I use to hit the drum. But if your drum is smaller, it doesn't matter. You can actually have your fingers relaxed. What is important is that you should have your palm not touching the wood. So the palm should be separate. So I want to invite you to go ahead and hold the drum and balance it on just the index finger right here.
Or just
So mine is like a full drum. So
yeah, you're right.
I can't hold it like that.
Unfortunately, yeah. Well, go ahead and see if you can balance it on your index finger and just have your thumb on the back. And maybe you can just lean it against your thumb a little. As soon as I tell you where to put your right hand, then it will become easy. So, you're good, Wendy? You're comfortable with it? Okay, use your left hand. Are you using your left hand? Is your left hand at the bottom? Yeah, okay, good. All right. Try to, and if it's falling and it's not balanced, push it towards left a little. If you do that, then some of the weight would be on your thumb and it would be easier to actually balance it. So far, basically, we have learned that we need to balance the instrument like that. So that's the most important part. The second thing that you need to do is to put your thumb right in the middle of the wood, about 90 degrees away from your left hand. All right? So you get that, and then the balance will be much easier. So try that and let me know if the balance is much easier for you. Yeah, now you have it right here. Cool. So in this position, now we have our right hand moving and our left hand can also be moving. So what I want you to try is to see if you can actually bring all your fingers, close them, actually put them all together and put it right on the center of the drum or reach in as far as you can. Yeah. And then make sure that the instrument is balanced and you're just holding it like you're holding a baby. Yeah, comfortable? Amit, are you more comfortable now that your right hand is involved? Yeah, awesome. All right, cool. Okay, so now what I want you to do is to lift off your index, your middle, and your pinky and just leave your ring finger on the skin. Okay, so you basically end up with something like that. So that's where we're going to hit for our doom. That's the bass that we get. Wendy, I'm seeing that you're holding the drum a little bit like in front of you. Bring it all the way to your side. So I forgot to tell you guys, when you hold the drum, you want your right hand to be in front of your heart. That's the best. Yeah, that's a good position now. So if your right hand is right in front of your heart, both hands are comfortable. And then also it relates to our heart too, because all of the sounds that you create kind of goes through your heart, or you receive it from your heart, depending on how you want to look at it. So now we said the ring finger. So hold the ring finger right there. You're going to bring your hand up such that you're going to show me the palm of your hand, for example. So pivot it up like this. And then you just drop it back on the skin. Up again, drop it on the skin. Up again, drop it back. up again, drop it back, up, drop, up, drop. Good job. You can reach as far in as possible for you to get the bassist sound that you need, right? Another thing that is important is kind of like a tip or like something that you're supposed to discover on your own, but I'll tell you already. So another thing that will help you is if you basically use the palm of your hand and hit it to the side of the drum at the same moment as you hit your hand to the skin, kind of like this, like you have a little bit of a curve, it will be easier for your finger to bounce off the drum. And that would allow the instrument to vibrate and sustain the sound. So feel free to touch the wood, but create a little bit of a curve so nothing else but the tip of your ring finger hits the skin. So that's our doom. You guys got it? All right, let's go down. Now, put your finger back on the skin. You're going to now move it all the way to the edge. And when I say to the edge, you're not going to pull, you're going to stretch, and you're going to just like stretch it down basically to the edge. This is where we're going to hit for our tack. Now you're going to lift up again and then drop down and hit the edge. So this would be how you play the tack. Pretty simple because you're not doing much of a shaping the hand. You're just basically using the same finger, either hit in the center or hit at the edge, right? Let's do doom again. Let's do tack. Back to doom. Tack. Again, doom. Tack. All right, let me pause here. Is there any questions or anything you guys want to tell me? Especially those who have a drum and are practicing.
Okay.
If you go like 5 or 7 or something away from 6, it will be harder. But each drum has a balance point. So if you can find that balance, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Good job. That sounds good. So those two basically are the most important moves in frame drumming. Most of the rhythms in Middle Eastern music are basically the backbone of most of the rhythms in Middle Eastern music is made from just the right hand. So for example, let me give you an example of an Arabic rhythm. Maybe you've heard this one. It's called Maksum. So Maksum is only with the right hand, right? So but the left hand comes in to accompany and fill it up basically. So if I go, then I can go. But the right hand basically keeps the main thing happening. So by learning the doom and tack, you basically learned about like 70% of drumming, or maybe even 80% of drumming. So now let's put these two together and like show you some rhythms. Let's do together. So you can, none of you have headphones, but if you had headphones, it would have been better. But listen to the sound, try to play softer so you can hear me fine, and then follow me along. Let's go. Doom, tack, tack, doom, tack, 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 doom, tack, tack, doom, tack. got it. This is a rhythm called Helgerten in Kurdish music. It can be slower or faster. So with this speed is very romantic or very calming, but it can get faster. When it gets faster, then the left hand comes into help, but it can be something like this. And it becomes rhythmic and more dancey, basically. So if there's no question about doom and tack, let's move on to the left hand. Yeah? All right. So left hand is a little bit more maybe focus consuming. So the way that you want to learn this is first to find where you're going to hit. So the way that I teach it usually is by asking my students to just go ahead and put your finger where you think it's easy for your first joint or first part of your ring finger to hit the skin. So go ahead and find that. Kind of like you just like locate it. Okay, once you locate it, then you're going to pivot your hand a little bit and get the finger away from the skin. Then you're going to pivot closer to the skin and then hit that same spot that you located. So sometimes, depending on the size of your drum, you bring in your finger with a force of the finger itself. So basically the muscles of the finger would help with this movement. And sometimes when the drum is bigger, like the DAF, for example, if somebody is watching this and have a DAF, you basically use the whole hand to, to throw the fingers to the skin of the DAF. But since nobody in this class have a DAF, I'm not going to talk too much about it. So let's focus on just the ring finger hitting the edge. Good job. If you guys are getting a sound, that's good. If you're not getting a sound, that's still good because that's your first session and that's your first try. And usually it takes a while for people to get a good sound from this left hand. First of all, the left hand is a little bit weaker than the right hand. Secondly, is holding the drum, so a lot of mobility is limited because it's holding the drum. And it takes a while for the muscles to get stronger and be able to do it. But if you're getting given a tiny sound, that's a very good start. Any questions about this one? Does anybody remember the name of it? I know I'm going pretty quickly, but I showed you on that slideshow. It's called Ka. It wasn't on this slideshow, was it? It wasn't on this slideshow. So it's called the Ka. So the doom, tack, and Ka. Doom, tack, Ka. Doom, tack, Ka. And if you look at any sort of drums from the Middle East, they use the doom, tack, Ka. Sometimes Indian music also, but Indian music have a much vaster vocabulary for drumming, so we're not going to go there. All right, so let's now work on doom, tack, ka, rest. Doom, tack, ka, rest. So we play doom, we play tack, we play ka, and then we rest. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. And doom, tack, ka, rest. 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 Doom, tack, ka. Last one. Doom, tack, ka, rest. Good job. Any questions? No questions. All right. So let me show you now notation, because how am I going to tell you what to do when you go away from here? So the way that notation works for the drum. Hello, welcome. How are you?
Yeah, sorry, I have a class, so I just come in. So sorry.
No worries, no worries. Thank you for joining. I will send you the video so you can watch from the beginning later.
Thank you so much.
Very welcome. You can go get your drum if you want to follow along. So I showed a couple of moves so far, but I'll show them again maybe. All right, so now I was going to show you some notation. So in frame drum notation, there are different ways. One way is that people basically type things up. And this would help you significantly if you want to later go search rhythms, because a lot of the websites that are out there basically have notes, not notes, but like they have ABCDs for what to play. So if you see a D, that means a doom. If you see a capital T, oops, sorry about that. If you see a capital T, that means attack. And if you see a K, let's give me 1 second. If you see a K, usually a small K, that means the ka. So let me actually do it this way. D equals doom, T equals tack, and K equals ka. And then, so these three basically are the main things that you see. Sometimes you see other words, but those are other techniques that I don't have time to cover today. So imagine that the same rhythm that we just played. We played a doom, tack, ka, rest. How do they notate that? They put a doom, they put a tack, put a ka, and then we put a dash for rest. So this way you will basically know it's a doom, tack, ka, rest. And usually there's a line or something at the end, or a comma or something. I probably would just say that we can leave it right there, so nothing else will be added, so it's easy to see. Maybe a double dash to see the ka, to see the rest. I'm sorry. So this would be a doom, tack, ka, rest. The way that I do it, and again, I don't have enough time to show you today, is a little bit more classical or academic, basically. So I use notation. So I use a different font that has basically music notations on it, and I created the font, but this font is these shapes are basically the way that they're used in most of the academically taught drums in the world. So we'll have a note, and then we'll have this on top of it that would correspond with the doom. We have a note, we'll have this on top of it that would correspond with the tack, and then we have this on top of it, it would be a ka, and then if we have this, it would be a rest. So you don't need to know that, but just know that this sort of a thing exists. And then it can get very easy to basically read this sort of a music. And I usually teach it in like 10-15 minutes if somebody is in my classes that I am focusing on reading music. So within a couple, like maybe 20 minutes, they can read music very easily. But what it allows me is that, for example, if I'm giving you a piece of music, I can give you this, you know, and you can actually read it like a real piece of music versus the ABCDs that it will be hard. But since I'm going to leave you with something that would be useful for you, I'm showing you this sort of a notation. So if you went online and searched Arabic rhythms and found something like this, you could basically translate it to your drum. So let's say that I'm going to create this rhythm. If I go how do we play that, for example? So obviously we play doom, doom, tack, ka, doom, rest, right? So when you have a rest, you're going to really count it. So can you guys tell me how many beats or how many notes or how many spaces basically, or how many counts, that's a better word, we have in this one measure or one cycle? Because if this is one whole unit, in music, that's called one cycle. Have you guys heard cycles in music or cycles in rhythm? So a cycle is basically a pattern of rhythm that repeats itself over and over and over again. And usually the number of beats in that pattern does not change. And it might actually sound hard, but look at this first one that we played. How many did we have in this one? How many counts did we have in this one? 4, exactly. So the doom at the beginning is 1, the tack is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. Excellent. So now tell me how many we have on this one. I like this, Windy. So we have 2 Windies in this class. So 8 beat for this one. So when you play it, you're going to count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So how do you count it? 1, that will be 2, that will be 3, that will be 4, that will be 5. This rest right here is your 6. This is your 7, and this last rest is your 8. So when you play it, it will sound something like this. It will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's do a couple more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Good job. Now, let me give you a couple more rhythms. These are cool rhythms that I almost use every day. And why are these cool rhythms? Is because in the whole world, if you actually look for, like if you, what is it? If you get the, what is the word for it? The common denominator, I think that it's called. The common denominator of a lot of the rhythms in the world basically sum up to be about 10 or 15. It's not like millions of rhythms. Because if you listen to like rock and roll music, you can find traces of Arabic music and Persian music in the rhythm. Because we don't have many choices. We have basically 4 counts. Like in the rock and roll, we have a doom, 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 doom. So we have 4 counts in that. So your options is either put a doom here, or put a tack here, put a doom here, put a tack here, put a doom here, put a tack here, or put the rest. So we don't have so many choices. So and there is another thing that usually human beings all over the world, basically, it's so fascinating. We all speak the language of music, especially rhythm, when we are born. And the reason is because from 4 months in our mother's womb until we are born, the human baby can hear, basically. So for 5 months, we can hear. And in that 5 months, the most dominant sound that we hear is our mother's heartbeat. So most babies are born with this understanding of doop, 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 doop. So in my opinion, every baby speaks the rhythm before when they're born, because they have been listening to the heartbeat so much. Some mothers play music for their babies even better. They hear the music through the skin or through the membrane, and they can basically understand music that way also. But what I'm trying to say is that the reason why people from all around the world understand and enjoy music is because we speak the language. And another reason is that because we are all human and we are trained with the heartbeat, the sort of rhythms that we enjoy are kind of similar. So if you listen to Arabic music, for example, you enjoy it just like unwantedly, like you haven't studied it, but you enjoy it. When I listen to Indian music, I enjoy it. When I listen to African American music, I enjoy it. Jazz music, I enjoy, because there's some elements that correspond with my soul, basically in a deeper level. So some of the rhythms that I think that are good and common that you can use are as follows, basically. So I'm going to give you the rock and roll beat, because rock and roll beat is actually pretty awesome. It can be played with any sort of a 4/4 music, and I can tell you that, as I said, the traces of it is in Persian music. The beauty of rock and roll is that it divides the beat into strong, soft, strong, soft, strong, soft, strong, soft. And the way it works is that you get a doom, and then you get a tack. And then you get another doom, you get another tack. So if you do just doom, tack, doom, tack, doom, tack, that gives you the basis of we will rock you, you know. But to make it more elaborated, we're going to add a rest right there. We're going to add a rest right there, and we're going to double this doom. So we're going to make a beat that has 8 in it. And you can count it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Obviously, if you get faster or slower, it would affect the sound. So that's rock and roll, which I'm sure you're going to enjoy playing with your rock and Is it R-O-L-L or is it R-U-L-E? R-O-L-L. Okay, that's rock and roll. The second rhythm that I'm going to show you is a Persian rhythm, which is called Helgerten. We played a little bit of it at the beginning of our class. Helgerten, in the meaning of the word, as far as I have researched and understood, means jumping up with happiness. And this rhythm is used a lot in dancing, especially Kurdish dancing. Has anybody seen the Kurdish dancing? It's kind of like the line dancing, like everybody's staying in a line, and there's a lot of shoulder movement. It's so cool. If you search Kurdish dance in YouTube, there's a lot of videos I can show you, but it's usually a community thing that people do. So that rhythm is a doom, rest, tak, ka, and doom, rest, tak, rest. So doom, tak, ka, doom, tak, doom, stacka, doom, stack, doom, stacka, doom, stack. You hear me say s can be used when you want to accelerate your speed and not use the numbers. It's a shortcut basically. You can use the name of the notes for the notes and then the s sound for the rests. So this will become a doom, stacka, doom, stack, doom, stacka, doom, stack. But again, if you want to count it as a cycle, we'll count it to 8. It will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A variation of this, which is a little bit easier, is when you eliminate the ka and do it with just the tak. And we did this, that's the one we did at the beginning of our class basically. So you do it only with the right hand. You go doom, tak, tak, doom, tak, 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 doom, tak, tak, doom, tak. A popular song that you might have heard is called Bint Shalabiya. Has anybody heard that song? Probably not. But this song, Arabic version is called Bint Shalabiya. It has been performed all over the world in every language, like Japanese, I don't know Chinese, but Japanese, American, Arabic, Farsi, Turkish. So it's a very popular song. So I'm going to sing the melody and see if you can recognize this. It goes like this. Bum 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 ba da ba da bum. Bum ba 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 bum. Ba 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 bum ba da 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 bum ba 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 bum ba da ba da ba da ba da ba da bum. Bum bum ba da ba da ba da bum. Da 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 dum. Da 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 dum. Da 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 dum. Da 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 dum. Da 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 dum. So that Bint Shalabiya song can be played with this rhythm. So I'm gonna do a slow motion first, but hopefully you can catch up and play along with me. So boom ba ba boom bum boom ba ba boom bum doom tak tak doom tak doom tak tak. Obviously this is much slower. La 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 And this one's called Helgerten. So I'm just going to type that up for you as well. Any questions so far? Okay, I'm going to actually stop here because I don't want to give you more than maybe you can chew right now, unless you share with me and you tell me that, no, give me more, I'm so hungry. You want more, Windy? Okay. So let's see. Let's go back here then. So that's Helgerten. So let's also talk about this other rhythm that is very popular, and if you learn it, you can play by yourself, or you can play with a lot of Turkish, Greek, Arabic, Persian. Even like with rock and roll music, you can play this song along. I've heard some of the hip hop artists now they use this rhythm along with their hip hop, and this is called. You probably have heard it if you're familiar with dance or Arabic music. It's called Maksum. Anybody have heard the word Maksum? Maksum rhythm? You guys know it? Okay. So Maksum is pretty awesome. It's very versatile. So Maksum is doom, tak, doom, tak, and then you have a rest in the middle. Doom, tak, stack, doom, and then tax. So it goes doom, tak, stack, doom, stack, doom, tak, stack, doom, stack, doom, tak, stack, doom, stack. Let's it ready, go. Doom, tak, stack, doom, stack, 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 doom, tak, stack, doom, tak, doom, tak, stack, doom, tak, doom, tak, tak, 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 doom, tak, doom, tak, tak. Last one. Doom, tak, tak, doom, tak, doom. Good job. A cool variation of this. There are actually millions of variations for Maksum, but a simple but cool variation would be if you had a ka right here. So it would be doom, tak, ka, tak, doom, tak. Doom, tak, ka, tak, doom, tak. Doom, tak, ka, tak, doom, tak. Doom, tak, tak, doom, tak. Doom, tak, ka, 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 tak, doom, tak. Faster would be even cooler. So if I do the top line, faster would be. Second line will be. All right, let's pause right there. Okay, so this one was called Maksum. There are many variations of the spelling also. Maksum. Actually, just with a U. But some people spell with a K, some people spell differently. So guys, I think this much will be enough for today. Thank you so much. I think what I wanted to cover, I accomplished my goal basically to covering everything that I wanted to cover. That's what I want to say. So in drumming, to just basically summarize or wrap up everything that we talked about, the main three sounds is the doom, tak, and the ka. If you get the doom, tak, and the ka, the other sounds can be a little bit later and they can be a little bit easier to learn once you learn the doom, tak, and the ka. Then things that you need to focus on or pay attention to is, first of all, you need to be able to balance the drum. The balancing is one of the important things, spiritually and physically. Spiritually, because if you're not balanced with your instrument, if your instrument is not balanced on your hand, basically, it means that you haven't really made a good connection with the drum. So you have to first feel the instrument, understand its weight, understand its behavior, and be able to hold it and balance it. So a good practice would be to just sit, watch TV, and just hold the drum basically and make sure that you have a good balance. And that's the first thing. Imagine that this is a baby, for example. Because as most musicians says, and you probably have heard it, the instrument becomes an extension of your body. It becomes your body later if you practice it enough. So if it is your body, it's better to have this relationship with it that, okay, I know you are not that difficult to handle. You're not a horse, for example. I'm not training a horse. I'm just basically balancing an instrument right here on my hand. So make sure that your balance is correct, and also make sure that you're not getting aid from your fingers. You're not really doing anything weird. You're just basically holding the drum and you're making sure that it's on the balance point. That's the most important thing. Secondly, as Amit said, you want to also have that spiritual or meditative essence when you start drumming. You don't want to just say, okay, I'm gonna play da 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 da. No, you want to say, okay, well, this is a drum that I have respect for. If you bring in the respect, then everything actually becomes more valuable to you. And most arts are like that. If you just, I mean, some people just throw the paint to the canvas and call it art. I don't know if you can call it art, but like if you go to Picasso or Leonardo da Vinci, they spend hours and hours and hours just to make their paint. You know, they had a tremendous amount of respect for just like one drop of that paint, and they didn't wasted it. They used it with a lot of respect. And same thing should go for the drum, because all these rhythms that we're talking about, they have gone through the filters of history. And I can tell you a little example of this. If I lived 200 years ago, or 500 or 1,000 years ago, and I come up with a beautiful rhythm, and this is like the passion of my life, and I've made the most beautiful rhythm of my life, and I play it for the people and people enjoy it, and I start teaching it to my kids and to my students and to my people that I can teach to, right? If I die, or when I die, if they don't like the rhythm that I created, the rhythm would die with me. The only way for the rhythm to go through the history is for the next generation to like it. And this cycle repeats itself millions of times until, or maybe thousands of times, until the rhythm has gotten to us. Because they didn't have any way to write the notations or write anything down. They didn't have notations for it. The notations came about maybe about 40 years ago or 50 years ago for the drums, for the world drums basically. A lot of cultures that still don't have it, like African drumming, they don't have, like you play the djembe, there's not much literature for it. It's just basically all by ear, and as we call it in Farsi, chest to chest. Like you have to really like feel the breath of your ustad or your teacher, your master, in order to learn the drum. So I personally have a lot of respect for these rhythms because I know they have come through the history, and each generation liked them and used them for a purpose. They've healed people. They have helped people harvest. They have helped people, give birth. They have helped people mourn for people who have lost. They have served a lot of different purposes. They have taken people to spiritual realms. A lot of people pray with them. A lot of people meditate with them. So if you just come to your centers before you start drumming and say, okay, I'm going to get connected to my ancestors and the ancestors of all humanity. I'm going to use these rhythms for making my life better, to make myself a better human being. And if you have that sort of a respect, it will help you a lot. Like you become a drummer much better. Like it would save you 5 years. So it's such a good practice to just have that respect, because the drum itself becomes your master, then becomes your teacher. I shouldn't call it master. It becomes your teacher. You will touch the drum and it will tell you how to play it. So that's my philosophy about playing the drum. And I think if you adopt it or think about it, it would help you as well. And that's about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the class. I don't know if you guys interested or not, but I have a lot of different classes that are happening during the week. I will definitely have these free classes maybe every month or so, because I really like giving to the community and having this opportunity to talk with you or see you in person. And some people are not sure if they want to try to learn the instrument or not. So this is a good opportunity for me to give back a little. But if you're interested to learn more, I'm going to send this video. Maybe you can watch it a couple times and practice with it. Or if you're more interested to continue with me, then you can send me an email or reply to my email and ask me for opportunities to join my beginner classes. I would like to stop here. So if there's any questions about things we talked about today, go ahead and shoot me. And Windy with an I has a DAF also. So they said, Windy, there are 400 rings inside the DAF, and yours probably have the same amount. So with shaking up the instrument, we get different sounds out of it. So let me just give you a little demo. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. I will send you the video. So let me know if you had any other questions through email. And it was very nice meeting you. Have a very nice journey. Play a lot of drum. It brings a lot of joy to you. And I hope to see you again sometimes. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.